That's the danger. That is the danger. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. And the danger is not putting hot water on your cornflakes instead of milk. The danger is that if we let Pogba's contract run down, he may well go to an English club, which is a little bit of breaking news from France that Liverpool have been offered Paul Pogba by Mino Raiola. That is not the headline story. We're going to talk about Camavinga being next. I don't think Pogba's going anywhere this summer, but that is a story that's just come out in the last few minutes. So we'll cover that. Lots and lots of things to get into. Rashford's operation may not be happening. Varane medical. Also, Ollie talking about the fixtures. Sorry, not the fixtures. The formation change. Who's going to leave? Who's going to stay? And yeah, we'll talk about Camavinga, a little bit about Pogba as well. But that is a story just coming out, which we'll delve into. That Manchester United, well, Mino Raiola has offered Paul Pogba to Liverpool, according to a story just breaking now. But we will get into that. But first of all, I've got some huge news for you. I'm sure you're going to get very excited. I could lie and say I'm late because I was playing with my new Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0, but today's show is supported by Manscaped. Don't play with one of these, actually. You just get the business done. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Huge news, Manscaped have just released this beauty, the new Lawnmower 4.0. This means there's never been a better time to join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and worldwide free shipping when you click the link in the description. So what's so good about the Lawnmower 4.0? Well, it's got a new multifunctional switch and travel lock created for people who like to travel. Don't do this on the train, you'll get locked up. But, you know, do it in your privacy of your hotel room when you get there. Don't do it while you're travelling. The ability to turn the LED light off and on when needed for a more precise shave. The new trimmer also allows you to customise your trim all through additional guards. So you get additional guards to go on the top. It's sleek with two-toned matte and gloss finish, even featuring a hot foil stamped black chrome Manscaped logo, as you can see there. And of course, its wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery life last longer. Very, very fancy. Alongside the Lawnmower 4.0, Manscaped have also launched their brand new performance package. Inside this, you will find the Lawnmower 4.0, obviously, the Weed Whacker, the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver, and some very comfy boxer shorts and a travel bag. Because Manscaped care about everyone that watches the United Stand, they are giving you a 20% off discount plus free shipping when you click the link in the video description. So what are you waiting for? Head over to the link in the video description. The Weed Whacker is this. You hit a certain age. I have to use this 3 times a week now. And you need to, you know, clear out the old nostrils. If you're really old, I'm not there yet. You might want to put that in your ear. But clean it around before you bring your nose. Links in the video description. Fantastic products by Manscaped, and thank you very much for sponsoring the show. United have certainly been using it this summer because in the transfer window, Ollie's very happy. United have showed some balls. They have trimmed the grass to make the yard look bigger, and Manchester United's transfer window is looking very good. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was talking about this last night. He said, look, we've got one of the best young players in the world and one of the best centre-backs in the world, and we've got it done very, very quickly. I'm sure Solskjaer is sat there very happy at the moment. He even said last night that, you know, in the past we've not got our business done as quickly. We've been rushing around a little bit. So he is very happy, but what is he going to do next? I think what we're going to do next is very hard to predict, but I wanted to start the show by saying Kamavinga transfer next. Obviously, question mark, but I think if you ask me, question mark in relation to Bush, not question to me. I think in relation to who we're going to sign next, it's a question that everybody has on their lips, and I think there is a list. In fact, I might do a video this afternoon about our top 5 targets because I think they encompass 3 or 4 positions, to be fair. It's not all about the midfield. We do want a midfielder. I think if you listen to anybody of credibility, they are talking about midfield, and I agree with that. And I think at the moment, I wouldn't be anything more than 30% sure that Camavinga is going to come to Manchester United. But I do think he is the most likely signing that United are going to make at the moment. Maybe Trippier, but I would say Camavinga, if you're talking about midfielders, is the most likely. And the reason for that, and I would have said this anyway, even if Romano hadn't said what he said yesterday. When we had Romano on the show, I think 3 weeks ago, we were talking about Camavinga, and his words were that United really like Camavinga. Camavinga would love to come to Manchester United, and a deal with Rennes is not impossible. It's just about when United decide to progress that. He sort of reiterated that again yesterday. He said Manchester United love Camavinga. They've been in talks with Camavinga, they've been in talks with Rennes, and it's about what they do next. And Romano even said yesterday he expects there to be some development over the next few days. Now, that development could be Camavinga deep talks coming to Manchester United, or it could be Camavinga not coming to Manchester United. But certainly we've put some groundwork in with Camavinga, and at the moment he looks like he's the most likely signing. Now, what I would do just before that, and I am going to talk about this Pogba to Liverpool story, so don't worry about that. We've got a lot to talk about. But just on Camavinga, 18 years of age, very talented player. I loved what somebody said last night, by the way. They said if Hannibal was playing for Rennes, or Elanga was playing for Rennes, or Ahmad was playing for Rennes, or Pellistri was playing for Rennes, they would probably be doing what Camavinga's doing, and we'd be looking to buy them. And I liked that because I think it shows you the quality of young players that we've got at this football club. And we really need to be careful about how we treat them over the next 3 years, because we've seen it with Januzaj, I think we've seen it with Pereira, and there has been countless other players who at 18, 19 look like they've got the potential to be United players. And if you're a United player, you're a top 4 player basically. How many of these talented players can we get through? Because if I name Elanga, Pellistri, Hannibal and a couple of others, say 5 of them, then if we only get 1 through, I think we've failed. If we get 2 through, that's good. If we can get 3 or 4 through, that's excellent. And look, a lot of it's down to those players themselves, but a lot of it's down to how we nurture them. I look back at Sir Alex Ferguson and what he used to do, and these youngsters were brought into the team a couple of years before, and gradually brought in. Where is their career path at Manchester United? And this is where I look at Solskjaer and I think, the Camavinga deal's great, but we've got a lot of players around 18, 19. Where is their path to the first team? You can't just have them training with the first team and then giving game time to Mata and James and people like that, when I think these lads have got a better future. It's almost like we need somebody in the club who sits down with these players and career paths their next 3 years. So if I sit down with Elanga, I'm like, look, you're a really talented lad. This season, if we keep you at the club, you're probably only going to get 3 starts at best. You go on loan to Cardiff or something like that, you're probably going to start 30 games. That's better for your development. Next summer we have a look, we see where you're at. Maybe you go on loan to a Premier League side like Southampton, or maybe you're good enough to start playing games for us. Map their career. Don't bury your head in the sand and go, we've got loads and loads of young players, Karaki. They've got a bright future. Map their future. I'm not expecting any of those players to play for us this season, but let's get them out on loan. Let's map their future. Let's not have them on bloody manunited.com photos training with the first team with a big smile on their face all the way through until bloody next March. Get them mapped out. So with Camavinga, he is a young player, and I just wanted to bring in about our young players there. With Camavinga, I think at the moment he looks probably one of the most likely signings we'll make next. Very good value, very good player. And McDaddy says, if we get Camavinga, just concerned Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will use McFred. United really need to look moving the Deadwood on. And I think that's the best thing. Before we start talking about Pogba and this Liverpool bid and Rashford's injury and everything else, let's just talk about this Camavinga thing. So if we buy Camavinga at 18 years of age, 1, is he going to play as the holding midfielder that we need? And 2, is he going to dislodge McFred? 1, I don't think he will play him as the holding midfielder on his own. 2, I don't think he'd play him ahead of McFred. So I think he would fall into, he's got to settle in, he's one for the future category. So there is a danger in buying Camavinga. I would buy him, I like him, and I think he's going to be a really good player. But I'm not convinced that he would come into the team and start for Manchester United. And that, to me, worries me. So therefore I would rather go and get somebody who comes into the team. And I do believe Camavinga can play holding midfield, but I don't know whether he wants to play holding midfielder. Does an 18-year-old want to establish themselves as one of the best holding midfielders in the game? Or does an 18-year-old want to establish themselves as one of the best box-to-box players in the game? I would say an 18-year-old probably wants to establish themselves as a box-to-box player, and we've got more than enough of those. We need a holding midfielder. We need somebody who takes the ball off the back before and runs the game. Now, look, this sounds really stupid, but I actually think Donny van de Beek could do that role. Jorginho does it, and he's not a great tackler. Van de Beek takes the ball, plays the ball forward. I think that's what, that's why I think Ruben Neves could do it. Saul Niguez could do it. Goretzka can do it. And I think Camavinga can do it, because I think everybody's locked in to this holding midfield pivot of McFred, where they run around a lot and they run around a lot and they put tackles in. when you start moving through the gears and become a footballing side, your holding midfielder doesn't have to be Ndidi. It doesn't have to be that type of a player. It can be a Jorginho. It can be somebody who just takes the ball off the back four and dictates the play. Michael Carrick wasn't tenacious. Michael Carrick didn't make that many tackles. He was just positionally brilliant and great on the ball. So United could go for a very different holding midfielder. Now, Camavinga can play that role. He is tenacious, he is very good in the tackle, and he has got other attributes that make him more of a box-to-box player. He can do it. Whether United would do that or not, I don't know. But we desperately need somebody to do it. I heard Ollie talking after the game last night about Varane. And one of the interesting things he said about Varane was, apart from he's a bloody brilliant player, what he also said about Varane was he gives us more options to play different ways. Now, straight away, I'm thinking, well, that goes back to this thing we were talking about the other day, where you leave Varane and Maguire at the back and you have one holding midfielder, and that makes us play in a very different way to the back six we have been playing. What I also thought he might mean is we start doing this and play a back five like Chelsea. We play Lindelof, Varane and Maguire, and that makes me want to throw up. Why buy one of the world's best centre-backs who's used to playing in a back two to play a back three? That's what worries me with Ollie, because I'm not convinced this guy Lindelof is sitting on the bench as much as everybody else thinks he is. I wouldn't be surprised if we went to a back three. I'm hoping he means we're going to play a different, more attacking style of football. But if we're absolutely honest, I know it's only pre-season, but have we seen any evidence that we're going to play with one holding midfielder? We haven't seen that yet. Just want to highlight that Varane was 34 million with 9 million add-ons, Lindelof was 35 million with 10 million add-ons, and Ben White is a straight 50 million spread over a few years, which shows how a good deal we're getting, says David. It's a fantastic deal, David, with Varane, but let's not forget he has got 1 year left on his contract. And if we bought him with 4 years on his contract, we'd be paying 90 million, and Arsenal would be going, you've paid 90 million for Varane and we've got Ben White for 50. I mean, I'd still laugh at Arsenal for that, because I still think Ben White for 50 million is a joke. But, it's a great deal for United. As for the medical with Varane, I think that depends when he flies into England. There was talk that he'd flown in yesterday. Real Madrid players on social media saying their goodbyes to Varane. I don't know whether he flew in last night or whether he's flying in today or tomorrow, but he might do the medical over the weekend. We might announce it. I don't know. The reality is Ollie's openly talking about him, and we are, because we know he's our player. Robert McCormack says, did you see Ollie indicate that he's got the hump that some players ain't back yet and therefore won't start the season? Please, Alanga, keep doing it. I'd keep him here, says Robert McCormack. Cracking point, Robert, actually. I was going to bring that in. And what are your thoughts on Jones leaving for free to Newcastle? I'll bring that in a bit as well. I do want to just talk about this Pogba story, and then we will come back to what Robert McCormack and also Hadrian Wong was talking about as well there. Very interested to see. So look, this is a bit of a breaking news story. This is coming in relation to Alexis Bernard, who is a journalist who works for Le 10 Sport in France. Mino Raiola has offered Paul Pogba to Liverpool and has indicated a transfer possibility this summer. However, Liverpool have indicated that the Pogba file would interest them in January, when he'll have 6 months left on his contract. Now, look, this is what I've been talking about. This is what I've been talking about for the last 2 days. And I don't like it when we get things right like this. But I spoke about this on the watch-along last night. For me, there's no right answer with Paul Pogba. I can't give you a right answer. Maybe you've got a right answer. And if you have, I applaud you, because I can't give you the right answer. Do you sell Pogba this summer? Do you let him run his contract down? Or do you get him on a new contract on ridiculous money? What is the right answer? You get him on a contract on big money and he stays inconsistent and everyone goes, we never should have done it. You let him run his contract down and he goes for free and everyone says we should have sold him. You sell him and we get stuck with Mafred and everyone says we should have kept him for a year. There's not really an easy answer to that. But what I would say, if we go with the middle option and we let him run the contract down, which I think is the most obvious option, and I don't think we have any say in it. I think Pogba can say that. Pogba can say, I'm not going to leave. Then I said this yesterday or the day before. Why can't he go and play for Man City? Why can't he go and play for Chelsea? The issue with Pogba is, if you let him run his contract down, well, it's not even let him. If he decides to run his contract down, he could still stay in the Premier League. He can go to Liverpool, he can go to Chelsea, he can go to Man City, and there's not a thing we can do about it. Because Paul Pogba's not Cristiano Ronaldo. Paul Pogba's not Wayne Rooney. Paul Pogba's not Paul Scholes or Roy Keane or someone like that. And notice how I'm not just using youth players there. I'm using players that I don't believe ever would have left Manchester United to go to another English club. I know Rooney flirted with it, but I don't think he would have gone to Manchester City. Roy Keane would not have gone to Liverpool or Chelsea. Ryan Giggs definitely wouldn't. I don't think Ronaldo would have done. You know, he might do now at the end of his career, but I don't think he would have done it. So Paul Pogba might not go to Chelsea because he played for Manchester United, but Paul Pogba might well go to Chelsea. I mean, his agent would let him go there. So we've got to be a little bit careful of that. I'm not panicking about it. There's no way we would sell... The story that Pogba could go to Liverpool or Chelsea this summer, I'm laughing at it because we've got to agree that Paul Pogba can't go to Liverpool or Chelsea or Man City this summer without us saying so, because he's our player. We've got 1 year left of his contract. But in a year's time, we've got no say. He's totally free. So he could go to Liverpool or Chelsea or Man City in a year's time. We're powerless to that. He can't go there now. But you've got to keep your eyes open to that, because when you're a free agent, it means what it says on the tin. It means you're a free agent. You know, you can't. It's like. I mean, it's a different situation here. But you imagine you've got a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or a both, whatever, and you just think, you know what? Should we stay together? Should we give it another go? I don't know. Tell you what, let's try. Let's just part our ways and see what happens, right? You go down the local pub, and there's your ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, and they're cracking on with a load of girls or boys. I don't know which. You know, they might have turned that way. I don't know. If you get jealous about that and say, "Oh, I wish we had tried again," it's your own fault. You've parted ways. If they want to go out and you watch them walking out and they're off, you know, it's 11 o'clock at night, and I don't think they're going out for a little late night pizza. They're going for a bit of Netflix and chill, and you get a pang of the old green monster, you know, a bit of jealousy. That's your fault. That's your fault. I'm sorry, they're a free agent. You know, nothing to do with you. You live with you can live with the thoughts of what they're doing tonight. We'll visually get to see it if Pogba's putting a Chelsea or a Liverpool shirt on, but that's our fault. We can't moan about Pogba going to Liverpool or Chelsea in a year's time if he's a free agent, because he's a free agent. And to be honest with you, you know what? I don't really blame Mino Raiola for speaking to Liverpool. I don't blame him for speaking to Chelsea or Man City. They can only say no. And if they say yes, it's all about stirring up interest in your client that's a free agent. So we can't moan about that. That's the risk. That's the risk we run. Morning, Mark. If Pogba stays, let him rot in the reserves, says Mikael Roach. Saw that Ollie didn't even mention Axel's name when talking about centre-back depth in the squad. Why do we even hold on to him last season? Stunted his development for a year and dropped his value in the market. We'll come back to that as well, should he? And Liverpool aren't allowed to buy foreign players as their English quota is too low, says Neil. Yeah, but this won't happen this summer. This won't happen this summer. We're talking about in a year's time. If you think Pogba's going to go this summer, there's only one destination. It's Paris. French Paris. Paris. That's the only place that Paul Pogba can go this summer is Paris, because Juventus, Manchester City, Real Madrid, any other club, they either can't afford him or United wouldn't sell him. PSG is the only place Pogba can go. They've doubled Wijnaldum's wages apparently. I think Wijnaldum's around 300 grand a week, isn't he? So they could easily give Pogba 400-500 grand a week. But I don't think it'll happen. I don't think Pogba will go to PSG, because I think he will like to have a look at his options in a year's time. But I'm not going to knock it. I still am undecided. I don't know what to do, because if Pogba stays a year, we finish second in the league and then he goes to Chelsea. That's not good for us. Pogba stays a year and decides to sign the new contract. He's still going to want massive money to sign the new contract, whether it's now or in a year's time. And I think there are some United fans out there that think, keep Pogba for a year, convince him to stay by playing good football and winning the title. He's not going to be stood there with the Premier League title going, yay, I'll sign a contract for 250 grand a week. He's going to say, no, I still want $500,000 because that's what I'm going to get if I move. But you've just won a contract, Paul. You're player of the year, Paul. I don't give a shit. I still want $500,000 a year as well, because that's what I'm being offered by everybody else. So we're either going to have to pay big on Pogba, or we're going to have to sell him this summer, or we're going to lose him for nothing. They're the three options. I don't know what the answer is. Wijnaldum's not at Barcelona, he's at PSG ultimate. So yeah, I don't have the answer on Pogba is the honest answer. But if he's going to go this summer, we're going to have to sell him to PSG. If we're going to keep him, we're going to have to. If we're going to get him on a new contract, we're going to have to pay silly money. And if we're going to let him go, he could go anywhere next summer. And we'll have to just wait and see what happens on it. But there is a story this morning that Liverpool have been offered him next summer, which he'll be offered everywhere. Do you think Mino Raiola is going to, as a free agent with Paul Pogba, do you think Mino Raiola is going to go through his little book of teams and go, oh, better not speak to Man City or Liverpool or Chelsea because he plays for Manchester United and I really want to respect the Man United fans? Do you think that's in Mino Raiola's mentality to do that? Better not speak to Chelsea even though they're loaded, or Man City because they're loaded. Better not speak to them because don't want to upset United fans. Bullshit. He will do it. He will do it. Of course he will. I don't think Liverpool will have the money for Pogba anyway, though. I think Chelsea is the one that I would watch out for. But we'll see. And look, I've got no answer on this. I personally think Pogba will run his contract down. I've said that many times before, not because for one reason I think he'll run his contract down, because that's where you make the most money. And you know what? If I was Paul Pogba, I would probably do the same, because it makes the most sense to do that. But as a United fan, I wouldn't do it. Mark, do you really see Camavinga as a DM or a CM? I feel it won't work. Ruben Neves is so much better, and Rice and Diddy is the best choice for the role, says Michael Prowse. I think Declan Rice is the best choice for the role, but Manchester United can't afford it. I've just realised I've nearly messed up this morning. I should be invisible from the neck down, because green screen and yellow, they don't do well with the green t-shirt, but I love this t-shirt. I love the green with the yellow, and I had it on this morning, and then I've completely not looked at myself because I'm just not vain, gone live, and actually I'm not see-through. So there we go. If you want to get one of these t-shirts, by the way, the link is in the video description. This is my favourite combo, the green and the yellow. I just love it. If I was Australian, I'd buy the kit. No, they're more yellow. They're more yellow, aren't they? South Africa is more. I think their rugby kit. Anyway, green and gold until it's sold. You could say, yeah, that's not why I'm wearing it actually, but yeah, that is why I'm wearing it actually, and that's the real quiz. That's the real quiz. When Ollie says Varane allows us to play differently, does that mean he thinks we no longer need to play both McFred now we have a quick centre back to cover? I hope that's what he means, should he? I really hope that's what it means. It could mean he wants to play a back three. Did you see Ollie said that if the players coming back later aren't up to match fitness, those who are the sharpest from pre-season will play? Joshua, I want to bring this in, definitely. So let's just bring in a few comments from Solskjaer's match reaction yesterday. He spoke about this, and Robert McCormack mentioned it as well. He said, we'll have to see what the fitness levels of the players are when they come back next week. If they've not been training for 3 weeks, then their fitness levels might not be good enough to start the season. Well, look, if Ollie wants to go and pick Juan Mata, Jesse Lingard, Dan James and anybody else ahead of people like Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw and Bruno and everybody else, then although Bruno's back in training, then that's up to him. But Ollie, the pressure's on you this year, mate. If you think, fitness levels aren't quite right, let's start Lingard and Dan James and Mata, and we lose against Leeds, I don't think people will give you any credit for that. I said this last night, and I'm going to stick with what I said. What would you rather have? Everybody who's been in the Euros back training this week after 2 weeks off, or do you think it's more valuable with a big season coming up that they have 3 weeks off? I think they'll be absolutely fine for the Leeds game, and I think that they needed the extra week off. They've had a relentless season where Ollie didn't rotate. They've gone straight into the Euros, and we're meant to get them back after 2 weeks holiday. They need a bloody break, mentally more than physically. They need a break, and the longer the break is, the more hungry they will be. Bruno's had 3 weeks off. He's hungry to be back. I think Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, and the rest, they need that. I mean, I don't know why Paul Pogba's not back in training, by the way. Pogba always seems to get an extra week off. Like, Varane's been back in training for a week with Real Madrid. Apart from, obviously, he's not training now. But he's been back in training with Real Madrid for a week. Pogba's not back yet. And this happens every year with Pogba. He seems to get longer off, and I don't know why. But, look, at the end of the day, I just think the players needed a break. As long a break as possible. And I'm not worried. I think, do you really think we're going to see Lingard playing against Leeds or Mata or Dan James? At worst, he'll pick McFred and rest Pogba, but I don't think that'll happen. I don't think Raiola is disrespecting the fans. I think he's disrespecting the Glazers, which I totally agree with. This says Sam. Hey, it's business, Sam. Raiola's got every right. If you're trying to sell a house, right? Imagine you're Mino Raiola trying to sell a house. Are you going to, you've got this house in this nice area, close to the amenities like a train station and a shopping centre, and it's a desirable area, right? You need to find a buyer. Are you going to advertise around areas that everywhere, or are you going to exclude areas that are rich that would like to buy that house? That's what you're basically asking Mino Raiola to do. When Pogba's a free agent, don't speak to Liverpool or Man City and Chelsea because it'll offend people. You know, you're going to sell it. Everybody is going to do it. Of course they are. What else did Ollie talk about? Well, he spoke about Marcus Rashford. Now, this is interesting. I'm getting more and more concerned about this. Not for me. I'm a fan of Rashford, but he basically said about Rashford. So the way we understood it with Rashford is that he was going to be out for the first 2 months of the season. He was going to have his shoulder operation now and be out for 2 months. Now, Ollie said it a week ago and he said it again last night. We'll have a look and we'll have a chat with Rashford over the next few days and we'll decide what's best for the player and for the club. That's not decisive, is it? It seemed to me it was decisive after the Euros. He needs the operation. He's going to have it at the end of the month and he's going to be out for 2 months. Now, we've let him go on holiday and now we're going to sit down with him and go, what's best? I'm telling you now, this is a young lad who's got his own mind. Look at, he's written a book. He stopped children from starving. Who knows what he's going to do yet, but he's definitely a strong-minded young individual. I think he wants to play football. He showed that in the Euros. He showed that last year, playing through the pain barrier. Obviously, he didn't perform as well as he could do, but he wants to play football. If we're going to sit down with Rashford and he's had 2 weeks off, not playing football, I'll guarantee you now, if I've got a bad ankle, right, and I'm playing five-a-side football every night, it's never going to get any better. If I go away for 2 weeks, my ankle, bit of swimming, relaxation, mentally I'm feeling better. My ankle's going to feel better and I'm going to go, I'm fine. And then I'll go and play five-a-side again and it will hurt. And it's going to hurt again and again because I've got a problem with my ankle. The problem with this is, Rashford's had a couple of weeks off. He comes back, he says, my shoulder's feeling fine, I'm feeling fit and ready. Great one, Rashi. Get the number, get your shirt on, you're playing on the left wing against Leeds. Yabba dabba doo, Scooby Doo. And that's what'll happen. That's what could happen. Because we've seen this over the last year. Rashford will not sit out. He doesn't want to. I don't blame him. I wouldn't sit out because I would want to play football. But this is where people above him, i.e. Ollie, has got to say, make the hard decision. I'm sorry, we've had a year of this, Marcus, where you want to play. I commend that. But, this is why people are saying you're not very good. This is why people are saying, you're not fulfilling your talent because you're not fully fit. I've got to do what's best for you in the long run and I've got to do what's best for the club. You've got to have the operation. I can't risk you starting the season and then the problem happens and then we lose you for 2 months. If he has the operation now, he could be back at the start of October. If he starts the season and let's see how it goes, he might have to have the operation in mid-September and then he's not back till Christmas. So look, I think I don't know the ins and outs of this, so I can't say nailed on. But from what we've seen of Rashford over the last year, he's carrying an injury. Is his injury going to be fixed by 2 weeks on holiday? I don't think it is. So I think if he starts playing this season, he's still going to carry that injury. And if he has bad performances, we'll get the same things coming out from Henry Winter and every other journalist. Oh, he's so brave, he's playing with an injury. Now is the time to go and get that fixed. And the most important thing is, he's still in his early 20s. He could have a career for 15 years, but he can't waste 18 months, 2 years of his career carrying injuries. He's got to go and get it fixed. But I'm not convinced. Sounds to me like Solskjaer's going to sit down with him, and if he says to Solskjaer, I feel okay, let's carry on, that we won't do it. But, we've started the season as well. It's the perfect time to get it because everybody's fit. What if he has to have the operation in 2 months and by that time Martial's injured and maybe Sancho's injured, and then it's like you can't have the operation, we need you to keep playing for a couple of months until everyone's back. If you do it now, it's done. And we've got a lot of cover. But I don't know what's going to happen with that. Mark, do you truly believe if Ollie has a full title-winning squad, would he have the skills to use it? Sir Alex in his day would, but Ollie is not top level. Well, Joseph, that's the whole point of this season, isn't it? Let's see what happens with that situation. It's a make or break season for Ollie, as we've seen before. Also, I just want to say, actually, he was talking about the defence situation. We did get an update on Phil Jones for anybody who wants it, but he did actually say that Axel Tuanzebe will be going on loan. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are not happy about Tuanzebe going on loan, and I wasn't happy about it, but having seen him in pre-season, he needs a loan. you've got to adapt. You've got to adapt with situations. You can't just have favourites and then when they're playing badly, still have them as your favourites. Like Martial last year is one of my favourite players, but I had to put my hands up and say he was nowhere near the level I would expect of him. I don't think Tuan Sebi on pre-season has looked very good. I don't think he has, and that to me means that he's not settled, he's not confident, he doesn't feel valued. I don't know. Maybe none of those things. Maybe all of those things. He does need to go on loan. The club have made it very, very clear that he's not part of the first team plans. He's not even going to be third or fourth choice. He does need to go on loan, and if he can get a move to Newcastle, then that's a good deal. But Tuan Sebi does need to go on loan, and Ollie basically alluded to the fact that he will go on loan. But he did mention Phil Jones. Now, he was very sympathetic of Phil Jones, and at the end of the day, it's that line, isn't it? Are we going to treat people as individuals or are we going to treat them as footballers? I treat them as footballers because I don't know the individual. Although I can be empathetic to the individual in certain circumstances. When a player comes out and say that they're suffering with mental health, then you've got to be empathetic to that because that's a real life issue. And we've had that with a couple of players, not just United players. With Phil Jones, I'm baffled by this situation. I really am. He got injured before the first COVID lockdown. And he's still not fit. Like, he got injured in March 2020, and we're now in August 2021. The sums of money that lad has had injured is ridiculous. And of course he doesn't want to be injured. I'm not blaming it on him. I'm blaming it on the club. Why did we give him a 5-year deal on 80 grand a week? It's just ridiculous. At this point, it's ridiculous. And he's still got about 2-3 years left on his deal. And people say just get rid of him. He's got every right, if we get rid of him, to say pay up the rest of my contract, which is going to be over 10 million quid. We've already paid him a lot of money, but we'd have to pay him 10 million to go to get rid of his contract. So we're not going to do that. The club aren't going to write that off. They'd rather keep him around for whatever reason. But Ollie said about Phil Jones that he's going to be back. He's back in training this weekend. There might be a couple of games behind closed doors. But I mean, what was the plan when we gave him a 5-year deal? I mean, what idiot gave him a deal? Who signs that deal off? Because it wasn't Solskjaer. People think it was Solskjaer. It wasn't. That Phil Jones deal was being worked on before Ollie even came in. And Ollie was the interim, and he was only interim 2 months when Phil Jones got the deal. So Ollie wouldn't have had the authority as an interim manager to say sign that deal. The club, somebody else did that deal. And they clearly haven't got a bloody clue, because why you would give a player a 5-year deal when they've been injured as much as they have on that sort of money has really caused us problems. And look, I saw people last night saying Solskjaer's basically keeping Phil Jones to get rid of Axel Tuan Sebi. That's not what he's doing. He's putting Axel Tuan Sebi on loan because he needs to go on loan to get game time. And Phil Jones is somebody that Ollie can't do anything with other than publicly say, I hope he can get fit. He's struggled with his injuries. He's a valued member of the squad. What is he supposed to say? He's injury prone. Nobody else will buy him, so I'm stuck with him. Like, that would be horrific. He can't say that, whether it's the truth or not. So I think it's a very sad situation with Phil Jones because he's actually been injured for 15 months. In the modern game, what footballer gets injured for 15 months? Even a bad knee injury now, like Van Dijk's, he won't be out for a year. Van Dijk will play before the year anniversary of that injury, and that was horrific. But we've got a player who's been out for 15 months. When you're out for over a year, there's an issue there. And as we know, there is an issue. So I don't know what we do with Phil Jones. It's an absolute financial mess. And it's a very sad mess because ultimately he is a human being who probably wants to play football. And yes, he's being paid a lot of money. But money can't buy you love. It can't. And you don't know the struggles that Phil Jones is going through. And we can banter him because he has funny faces when he's tackling. And we can banter him for wearing pink boots. But at least he's on the pitch then. I'm sure any player can deal with banter when they're playing. The mental struggle he's probably going with by, not playing. It must be very difficult. Very, very difficult. I don't know what the future is with that because I just can't see how anybody would go anywhere near him. Mark, board have only shaved one ball by buying to make the entire wood look big. We need to sell players ASAP. If Pogba leaves, we need to replace, else we are in the same situation like last year. Thoughts, says Ahmed. Well, look, I said this before. Sancho and Varane are very good signings, but if Chelsea buy Koundé, Rice and a really good forward, they've had a better summer. I keep reading this, right? And this worries me a little bit. I keep reading UK journalists, and I'm not going to name them, can't be asked, who are very close to the club, and I know who they are, and they know who they are. They won't be watching. But I know who they are, and I know they're very close to the club, and I know a lot of the time they're leaking stuff that they're getting told by the club. Not transfer stuff, just positivity stories. And what I've seen a bit of over the last 2 days is, oh, this is how the United board works now. Murtaugh speaks to Ollie and Fletcher, and then Matt Judge and Ed Wood would do this. And I'm not criticising what they've done this summer. They've done a good job, but we're getting it rammed down our throat like we're some sort of dons of the transfer window. What United fans don't fail to realise is we failed last year. We're basically catching up. If I'm absolutely cynical, we've only bought the players this summer that we should have bought last summer. We were meant to get Sancho and a centre-back last summer. Now, granted, I don't think we would have got a Varane last summer. It probably would have been an Upamecano. And we have got a better centre-back this summer than we would have got last summer. And we have got Sancho cheaper this summer than we would have done last summer. But we're a football club. We're not a business. So why are we celebrating business achievements? We should have got a right winger and a centre-back last summer, and we've done it this summer. But they're celebrating it like they're suddenly, oh, look at United, look at United. These two players, not these two individuals, but these two positions were priorities for Ollie last summer, and he's got them now. And Man City and Chelsea could still have a better summer than us. They could supersede what we've done. So we need to do more. Pogba's future is really, really important. If Pogba goes, we need 2 midfielders, not 1. So, look, we're having a very good summer at the moment. But let's not fall into the trap of, oh, look at United, the dog's bollocks, look at what they're doing now. They've basically bought 2 very good players that they should have bought last year. They tried to take us into a Super League, and the summer isn't over. What's happening with Pogba? Are we going to clear the Deadwood? When's the midfielder coming in? I feel like we are on a journey, and I applaud United for taking us on the journey, but the journey's not completed. I ain't celebrating winning this journey when we're not even near the finish line there yet. We still have work to do. And I do believe United are going to do it. I do believe we'll get a midfielder. I do believe we will make 3 signings. Whether we like it or not, Woodward is making a U-turn on his resignation, and the club have finessed us again with the PR stunts, as Andre. I tell you what, I mean, politically, I don't think many people care, but I think Woodward will make a U-turn. I'm not convinced he will leave United. I mean, maybe his mind is set, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Pogba is a Pratt if he moves to Liverpool. Well, he won't be going till next year anyway. Mark, news coming out today for Chelsea that they opted for Tchouaméni and will go for Rice next summer for more cheaper. Leaves Rice open for United this summer. Any chance as Kian? I mean, Tchouaméni is a player that I think many people would like at United. We're just not linked to him like Bissouma. I would like to see Declan Rice come to United, and I think Declan Rice would like to come to United if Chelsea don't move for him this summer. But the reality is, I think Declan Rice's situation is this. He desperately wants to leave West Ham, not because he doesn't like West Ham, but because he wants to play at a high level. And he would love to come to Chelsea. He would love to come to Manchester United. He would love to go to Manchester City. His priority is probably Chelsea because he's a Chelsea boy, but that doesn't mean you end up playing for Chelsea. And I think he would be open to coming to United. I think if anybody made an offer of over £60 million, he'd want to be told about it, and I think he would want to have an opinion on it. The problem is West Ham can price him out of a move, and United can't pay £80 million for him. So I personally think if we sold Pereira, Lingard, Matic and raised 45 million, we should add 30 onto that and get Declan Rice. And that's what I would do. It would be a very good investment for United to do that. I know people have their doubts about Declan Rice, but I did 18 months ago. I used to say I'd rather have Pasta. But I've seen a lot of him over the last 18 months, and I think he's exactly what we need. But I understand why people think not. I don't believe Phil Jones has been unable to play this long. Ollie is lying as usual. Ollie just don't fancy Phil, and that's okay. Ollie isn't the man enough to say it. Well, he shouldn't say it either, Tabres. He shouldn't be saying things like that. That's my favourite Goldbridge misspeak ever. Both Chelsea and Manscaped may outscore us. We're in big trouble if Manscaped are getting more points, says Loz. I didn't even know I'd said that. Sorry about that. I'll tell you what, I just want to bring in as well. I just want to say I love this game. I know I'm quoting Patrice Evry there, but I love this game because in the world that we operate in, and I don't like fan channel or fan media because I think that we're as a community we're better than that being labelled as just that. But this world we operate in gets labelled as being quite negative. Oh, he's always going on about Matic being finished. Well, that's because I think Matic is finished. Oh, he lives up Bruno's arse. Well, I don't live up his arse. I just think he's a good player. But you get tarnished with being negative, right? The hilarious thing that happened last night is, right, there's some accounts on Twitter who don't like United Stand and don't like, fan channels, call us negative, right? They call us negative. Oh, they're always so negative. Get them away from our club. They're always so negative. Last night, I put a tweet out saying that you can see the difference with Delot at left back. He looks real quality, right? I was being quoted by those same accounts going, look at Goldbridge, the tit. Delot was shit. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. You've just exposed yourself then, haven't you? You're not about, positivity and fan channels are negative. You're actually just full of hate, because I'm actually saying Delot did well, and I still stand by that, apart from the mistake on the goal. But I'm being ridiculed for saying that Delot was good because you think he's shit. But then tomorrow you'll be moaning because I don't think Matic is good enough. I just find it hilarious, this world we live in. Some people just want to see the world burn. Like, they have no... Like, I might get things wrong, but at least I'm quite consistent. You know what sort of players I like. You know what sort of tactics I like. You know what sort of vision I have. Some people, they want to moan at you because you're negative. Then when you're positive, they have a moan at you and they'll say Delot's a load of shit, which is negative. It's hilarious. I couldn't believe it last night. I was like, look, I knew it was controversial to say it. I said it on the match reaction, but I'm never going to not be true to what I think. I liked Delot's performance yesterday. He was totally at fault at the goal. If you want to say someone's shit because they're at fault for a goal, that's fine. That's your level of football opinion. But I don't just look at individual mistakes, because I think somebody could have a really good game, make one mistake, and then do you throw it all away because of one mistake? Like, Mason Greenwood could have a worldie and miss a sitter. Does that mean he's had a bad game? Some people would say yes, some people would say no. But it does make me laugh that you can be positive about a player and then still get a load of shit, and then they'll call that player a load of shit. But apparently they're so pro-United and positive. Why aren't we getting rid of the Deadwood, says P. I think sometimes it's very difficult to get rid of the Deadwood. I think that's the problem that Manchester United have got. Axel's going. Fitness of returnees we've spoken about. Pogba we've spoken about. Camavinga we've spoken about. Rashford we've spoken about. Varane's medical date will be early next week. We've spoken about, although that could change. The low we spoke about just there. Also, remember that, can I just say in defence of Delot, he did play right back for Portugal in the Euros. I don't think that many backup right backs in world football will be playing at that level. And also, it was his first 45 minutes in a month. He'd literally just come back. And he technically was playing out of position. I know he can play at left back, but he's more of a right back. But look, I'll say it again. I'm not convinced that Trippier is the right signing for us. I like Trippier, and I think United want Trippier, and I think Trippier wants United. But I don't like what Trippier will bring to United in a way, because I think he's good enough to play at right back, and that benches Wan-Bissaka. I also think Ollie would probably use him as a left back, and he's crap at left back. He's too right-footed. So I just believe in Wan-Bissaka, I suppose, and I think Wan-Bissaka has got to go, got to be the first choice, and I would like to see Delot stay. But the funny thing is, the whole Delot argument is sort of null and void, because I think Delot wants to leave. I think Delot wants to go and play first team football somewhere else. I think he enjoyed it in Milan, and I think he wants to go to Milan, and I don't think Ollie likes Delot, so I can see him going. Mark, do you genuinely think we will get a class CDM this summer, says Chase Worthington? That's a great question, Chase. Please smash a like on the video, by the way. I don't think we will get a holding midfielder this summer. I think we'll get a midfielder. I don't think we'll get a holding midfielder. And I don't know what the plan is, but I don't think we'll get a holding midfielder. Maybe we'll turn somebody into a holding midfielder, but I don't think we're going to buy a specialist holding midfielder, because I think specialist holding midfielders are few and far between. We're either going to buy somebody that we've not been linked to, who's a holding midfielder, or we're going to try and get Declan Rice, which we all know is probably impossible. So I don't see what holding midfielder we would bring in. Delot is receiving more criticism for an error in pre-season friendly than Aaron Wan-Bissaka was criticised for errors in the Europa League semi-finals, says Andre. Mate, some of the hate and shit that Delot was getting last night from so-called, Mr. Positive and Mrs. Positive United fans, they're a bunch of bloody hypocrites. You say something about Matic or McTominay and you're a hater. You say something positive about Delot and he's a load of shit, get him out of my club. It's like they don't realise how hypocritical they actually are. because you can't have a go at somebody for being critical about a player you like and then have a go at a player that you don't like, because you're just doing what everybody else is doing. And that's what I want people to do. I accept that some people won't like Dalot. I get that. But don't have a pop at me for telling me that I don't rate Matic or McTominay as holding midfielders anymore. Because Matic, for me, 5 years ago, was one of the best holding midfielders in the world. Right now, I don't think he'd be one of the best holding midfielders in the Championship, because he just can't play at that intensity anymore. He was okay last night, but we don't need okay. We need one of the best holding midfielders in the world. That's what United should have, or somebody with the potential to be that. Well, Matic isn't one of the best holding midfielders in the world anymore, and he hasn't got the potential to be that because he's getting old. I like Matic, and look, I wouldn't say he'd prove me wrong. He could bounce back again. He's done it before, but I don't think so. Can Boateng end up United since he's a free agent? I hope it's not Jerome Boateng you're talking about. I don't want him anywhere near the club. 61 Mohammed. Do not want that. Do not want that at all. Look, anyway, I could talk and talk and talk. We have got an 8 o'clock show tonight, and I am going to put up a video this afternoon about the about our top 5 targets, because they're not all for one position, so I think it'll be quite interesting. And obviously, if anything breaks, we will go live. So make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner, smash a like on the video. Do check out the return of Adam on the channel last night. He was at the game last night, giving us a fan vlog at the game, which is really good to happen. That's what I was mentioning yesterday, by the way. A few people sent videos in. Some people sent them in from home. Some people had themselves walking out of the ground, and all you could see was their forehead and the night sky. If you watch the video on the homepage of Adam, that's the sort of thing we're looking for. If you're going to be attending at matches and you want to send videos in to us, it basically is good horizontal, maybe a bit of a selfie stick, or get someone to hold at you, 5 minutes thoughts on the game, and what what you're thinking, and send it in. So check out Adam's, it was fantastic, and good to have him back on the channel, and he'll be on the Sunday night show as well with Ricky, so looking forward to that. United raised funds by selling a lot of players, including a goalkeeper for CDM and CM, but question is, are they really want to challenge win the title, says Palab. We won't find out this until the balls kick off next season. The ball kicks off. And talking about balls, don't forget Manscaped, links in the video description. The brand new 4.0 is out now. God, that feels powerful in my hand. And trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to Manscaped. Links in the video description. I'll speak to you all in a bit.